What's up and welcome to Kplus Gaming Corner, and in this Outriders video we're looking at the Technomancer Borealis Monarch set. This set is extremely versatile as there's multiple ways you can run it, and I'll be highlighting two main ways I'm running the build, one being a Borealis Firepower build and the other being more of an Anomaly powered build. Both ways can give you extremely fast clear times in both trials and expeditions, and both, especially the Anomaly build, is one of the fastest I've seen at taking down the Arbiter with ease and before he gets a chance to raise his axe in the air. Getting right into it and starting with the Firepower version of the build, this one uses the skills Cold Snap, Blighted Rounds, and Fixing Wave. The set bonus for this build increases your damage against frozen enemies by 50% and also increases critical damage by 10% for 8 seconds after the use of your Cold Snap. And you'll have relatively low cooldowns on your Cold Snap with about 8 or 9 seconds, so you'll be able to take good advantage of these bonuses. For the weapon, I'm using an Inferno Seed that rolled with critical point in the APOC slot for a 20% increase in the chance of landing a critical hit. And I included Fortress to go along with Wrath of Moloch, which comes standard, so we're also spreading the burn status around. As we keep shooting, we're going to be getting some armor and resistance boosts and increasing our damage dealt by 25%. For the gear, and starting with the headpiece, I'm using Sergio's Beret, which comes standard with Sharp Eye, increasing firepower with each critical hit. And this one rolled with Euthanizer, so we're getting an extra 16% damage increase on enemies afflicted with Toxic. And then I included Quartermaster, which is going to replenish your magazine and keep you from running out of your Blighted rounds every time you activate your Fixing Wave. For the chest, I'm using the Robe of the Borealis Monarch, which comes with Icicle Storm, which causes enemies killed while frozen from Cold Snap to explode and deal a nice amount of damage. And I included Captain Hunter for that extra 16% damage we can do to elites and bosses. These came with Stare into the Barrel, which is increasing your firepower based on how many enemies are surrounding you in close range, stacks up to 4 times. Although another good mod that could roll in the third slot would be To the Bone, increasing anomaly damage by 15% when your Blighted rounds is active. For the pants, it's the Waistcloth of Borealis, which comes with Freezing Boost, which increases damage against frozen enemies by another 8%, and I included Ice Baby, so any enemies hit with the Cold Snap that are already frozen are taking some extra damage. Unfortunately, these rolled with Improved Coolant, which is a dead mod here and not really helping us since we're not using cryo turrets. You'll want to get you some pants that come with something like Virulent Compound or anything else that would be more useful. I'm using Borealis gloves, which come with Shatter, so that's another 16% extra damage on frozen enemies, and they rolled with Power Assimilation, although I'm still looking for Borealis gloves that roll with something like Radical Therapy for some extra damage against enemies with Toxic on them, or Long Winter for some extra range on our Cold Snaps. I included Kingslayer, which increases your firepower with your critical hits you're landing against elites, and with the help of Critical Point on our gun, we're landing those critical shots much more often. I'm using Purple Boots with bonus firepower, status power, and skills life leech, and they rolled with Bad Medicine in the APOC slot, so you're fixing waves or inflicting Toxic and dealing some damage to enemies in a 10-meter radius. Not bad, but would probably prefer something else here. And they came with Extra Bullet, which increases your magazine size by 30%. Useful, but I wouldn't mind something else here as well. My luck with Purple Boots is never great. I included License to Heal, so activating Fixing Wave is giving you infinite ammo for 4 seconds, plus giving you a 10% boost in weapon damage. For the class tree, we're mostly up top, grabbing all the weapon damage bonuses and grabbing Assault Master, stopping before we get to the capstone since we're not using Blighted Turret. We're coming down to the middle and grabbing Exposing Frost, so any enemies frozen will also now be vulnerable and taking some extra damage. The patch tree, we're going lower tree. I'm using Accelerator, which is increasing our weapon damage based on how much weapon leeching we have. In my case, it's 20%. And then I'm grabbing Hastened Influence, so our Cold Snaps and Fixing Waves are back almost instantly. And then Burrowing Charge, so those critical hits are leading to even more damage as it injects enemies with an Anomaly Charge that explodes on the next critical hit that you're landing. So that's my firepower version of the Borealis Monarch build. A great choice if you enjoy that sort of gameplay. Let me know in the comments how you'd have yours set up. And as promised, we'll now turn our attention to the Anomaly Power version of the Borealis Monarch. For the skills this time, I'm using Shrapnel, Cold Snap, and Cryo Turrets. I initially was running this as a triple turret build, but a suggestion on Reddit by MasterMecha6709 made me realize I was much better off switching out the Blighted Turret and swapping in the Shrapnels since it was doing more damage, and through the class tree it's ramping up your Anomaly power way more than what the Blighted Turrets can do. Shout out to you, my friend. Was a great suggestion, and sharing ideas like this is how we all help each other to make our builds the best they can be. For this one, I'm using a Sunfall submachine gun that rolled with Mage's Rage for some Anomaly Power ramp up. It already comes with Firestorm, so we're spreading burn around, and then I added Fortress for another boost to the damage we're dealing. And with this build, I'm using the Moaning Winds Radiation Splash reload mechanic so we can clear out stubborn enemies still hanging around us and help take down elites faster. For the helmet, I'm using a Techmonger's Mask, which comes with Double Trouble, which helps the performance of our cryo turret, doubling the fire output, and they came with Euthanizer for that extra 16% damage on enemies with Toxic, and we have Ice Ice Baby, which, as I mentioned before, will have Cold Snap doing a whole lot of extra damage. This time, the Borealis chest piece we're using rolled with Trap Cluster in the APOC slot, which doubles the number of shrapnels that can be thrown out before triggering a cooldown. We're still using Icicle Storm, which helps clear out enemies faster, and then we have Captain Hunter to round things out. For the pants, with this setup, improved coolant is now helping us as it's further improving the performance of our cryo turrets, and I also included twins so we can now deploy 2 cryo turrets before triggering a cooldown. Freezing Boost, as mentioned, is increasing our damage against frozen enemies by 8%, so combined with Shatter, which we have in our gloves, we're at an extra 24% damage on top of the 50% that we're getting from the set bonus. Power Assimilation is also much more useful here in this Anomaly build, increasing our Anomaly power based on how many elites are on the battlefield, and I included Hail Shot, which is increasing the damage our cryo turrets are doing based on how much status power we have. I'm using purple Anomaly power boots, though I'm still looking for a usable pair that also has status power since, as just mentioned, that's helping out our cryo turrets, but these will do. They've rolled with supplies in the 3rd slot, so that's an extra shrapnel we can toss out. So this plus Trap Cluster on the chest piece gives us 4 shrapnel grenades we can throw. And the boots also rolled with Toxic Piercer, which is improving the effectiveness of the toxic we're inflicting based on how much resistance piercing we have. And then I included Arms and Anomalies, so as we're shooting and getting crits, our Anomaly power is going up by a decent amount. This time, the class tree, we're down below, moving across and getting all the extra Anomaly nodes, going until we get to Tech Bond, so every time we throw out our grenades, our Anomaly power is increasing by 50%. We're then coming up the middle and moving over to get Exposing Frost, since we still want any enemies frozen to also get the vulnerable status on them and wipe them out easier. We're up top with the Pax tree and definitely want to grab lethal devices, so all of our skills, Shrapnel, Cold Snap, and both cryo turrets are all inflicting toxic everywhere and doing some extra Anomaly damage, and then we're getting depleted core, so our Shrapnel bombs have their damage increased based on 100% of our status power. Both lethal devices and your shrapnels will be at the top of your list of damage sources while you run through those expeditions as fast as ever. Your ascension points will vary depending on which version of Borealis you're running. Obviously, if it's Firepower, you're starting in the Brutality area. If it's Anomaly, you're up top grabbing those. And either way, you'll want to be sure to grab Status Power, and you'll always want to get that extra damage against elites. The rest is up to you to fill in as you see fit. There you have it, Borealis Monarch Technomancer, both Anomaly Power and Firepower variations, so you get the 2 for 1. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions. I always enjoy chatting up with you guys, so keep them coming. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please do give it a like and a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to know whenever a new video drops or whenever I'm streaming live, make sure you're subscribed to see what's coming next. I'll catch you guys on the next one, and with that, until next time, peace.